of the Lake County Board of Commissioners. Would all those who are willing and able please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, flag of our country.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Grant us, O Lord, light to our understanding, prudence in our investigating, foresight in our planning, sincerity in our deliberating, the grace to follow truth in our judgment. Help us to be moved in our decision, neither by fear nor by self-interest, and to do our work faithfully. May we respect the authority vested in us, for thou art the source of all authority, and may we use in our directives for the common good and for thy honor and glory. Amen. Thank you all. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Young.
Here.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Here.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Here. Okay, we have before us the meeting minutes for the regular meeting of April 14, 2022. Do we have a motion to approve same, waiving the reading thereof?
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes. All right, this brings us to our first public comment portion of our meeting. Do we have anyone wishing to address the board? Mr. Zern. Auditor Zern. Strike that. Treasurer Zern. Good golly. He's one of the big shots here, so.
Well, thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah. Just John.
Oh, well. I wanted to address the commissioners and the public regarding the efforts in the Treasurer's Office to reach the delinquent taxpayers for the first half of 2022. Just to recap, we collected about $250 million in property taxes for the first half of this year. There were about $7.5 million in unpaid, uncollected taxes. In the past, in years past, the Treasurer's Office has done one mailing per year to delinquent taxpayers, which was done after the second tax collection. So we really, the Treasurer's Office, we really sat down and took a comprehensive approach and tried to rationalize what has happened. Why do we have $7.5 million of delinquent taxes? So we started to identify multiple categories of property owners that were delinquent, and we've since reached out to these categories of homeowners. Some of the categories that we identified are individuals who paid off their mortgage in the last 6 months. We identified 160 parcels. We mailed out a letter to them offering grant money and also repayment options. We had a 70% response rate in the last 3 weeks. We also identified individuals who refinanced their homes since July of 2021. Mobile homeowners, which I talked about at the last meeting, were 31% were delinquent on their property taxes. And we also identified a group of homeowners who have always been current with their property taxes, but for some reason this last tax collection, they are now delinquent. So in the last 3 weeks, we collected about $220,000 from the delinquent taxpayers through these efforts. And this is so important because it not only impacts the county, the general fund, Adams Board, Children's Services, Deepwood, so many different entities in the county that this will have a positive impact on. The cost of this was about $3,000, and we've already generated $220,000, and we're still waiting for a lot more response to come back. I just wanted to publicly thank the commissioners for their encouragement and their support to try these extra outreach efforts to reach our taxpayers in the county, not only to collect taxes, but to assist them with grant programs, repayment options, and make sure that there is not a foreclosure crisis, that if there's some type of issue, we could help them and help them maintain their current taxes and keep their homes. And I also wanted to publicly thank the Treasurer's Office because they worked really hard on these extra efforts for the first time this year. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anything for our treasurer?
Mr. President,
Sir.
I would just repeat
and amplify the treasurer in thanking his office, but also Treasurer Mike Zurin personally for the compassionate way that he's worked to show as many residents as possible the resources there are to help them to get current in their taxes, to keep them in their homes, because it's not just about raising money for the public fisc. It is an important task. The more important task is serving our residents, and Mike has been tireless in sharing the many programs available to help them to stay in their homes, to pay off their bills, and frankly, caring about his neighbor.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Commissioners.
I just want to thank you for your continued focus and transparency on this issue. I don't think anyone else has approached this as you have, with the energy and the expertise. That's part of the American dream, isn't it? To own your own home and to stay out of jail. so what you've done has been very helpful on both counts. So good work, and look forward to hearing more from you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Massey.
Brian Massey, 8196 Rainbow Drive. I'm just an average citizen. I wanted to, at the last session, Commissioner Plechik, you mentioned about the Facebook page, and I'm requesting, you do such a great job, all three commissioners, as far as advocating for free speech and allowing all of the taxpayers to, as much time as they want to speak in public. So that is really to be commended, and I thank you very much for that. The concern that I have, Commissioner Plechik, on the Facebook page, I received a note from a citizen that was concerned about the Lake County Republican Facebook page, where she was actually banned, from reporting. And what I'd like to see, to make sure, and perhaps you already know it, but when you get into that social media account, you've got to let everybody speak with opposing viewpoints. So let us not make sure that the commissioner's Facebook page is excluding anyone, and also that it doesn't become just a political theater, for a photo op. I'd like it to be really just something that really communicates with the people. So that's just my recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. President?
Sir.
If I could just say, for the benefit of the public, and I'm sure that Mr. Massey understands this himself, there is no relationship between the Lake County Republican Party Facebook page and the official government page of Lake County, nor is there a relationship with the Lake County Democratic Facebook page. Those are political parties, and as private operators, they can ban, block, with really any standard that they want, that the social media site allows. Government pages are required to be and should be politically neutral. Banning and blocking can still be used if someone is profane, and I believe that there is a legal statement included on the page identifying how someone could be banned or blocked, because we don't want to expose residents or children to various types of language. But we haven't had any problems. The page is relatively new. To date, we've only used it to promote our emergency rental assistance program, which we're pushing very hard. When we have more procedures in place, the hope is to include updates from the sheriff's office, utilities. This is meant to be a resource for residents to know what's happening in the different departments, wholly non-political. So if you have an issue with a political party's page, that's completely separate. They may have the words Lake County in the title, but we have no relationship to the social media presence of political parties.
Very good. Okay, continuing. Do we have anyone else in the audience wishing to address us? Seeing none, moving on. If there's no objection, I'd like to move agenda items 18, 19, and 20 to the front of the list. That would be our special resolutions. Hearing no objections, Madam Clerk, if you would, please.
And special resolutions. Resolution declaring April 15th through May 31st, 2022, clean and green Lake County.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. floor is yours, sir.
Good morning, Commissioners. Here we're going to have our Clean and Green Proclamation. We have certainly our students behind us that were part of our logo contest that were winners in each of our categories. So we would like to call up our overall winner, Reese, to come up to accept the proclamation from you. So you have the proclamation.
Well, hello.
I'm going to get my camera real quick.
Okay. Well, hang on. I guess we got a few things cooking, so we're going to bundle a few things here.
You want to do the...
Hold that thought. We can do that. If there's no other discussion, Madam Clerk, roll call on that.
Sure.
We're going to do some speed reading here. We've got a few of them here.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Pletchner.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes, it's official now. Reese is going to be getting some very special things. All right, take the 4 photos. That's all. I'm looking over at Commissioner.
Well, I think that we have a speech first.
Well, in the interest of bundling everything, so we got Reese, we got all kinds of good stuff.
Well, excuse me, Reese.
Okay.
We also have our logo contest winners, which we'll be taking photos of. We had over 800 students submit their artistic
We do.
items for promoting having a clean and green Lake County. You'll see the ones that are up here are winners from each of the categories. All the students are here as well, but if we want to have maybe Reese up here first, we'll give her the proclamation as well as the award, and then we'll get the other ones up as a group, as well as I think they'd like some individual photos with the commissioners as well.
That would be much neater, much neater. Thank you. In fact, hold on. This is the part where I get to play air traffic controller here. And okay, spoiler alert, Reese, do not forget the white box. There's something else in that for you, okay? Do not forget the box. I'm old, I forget these things. Gentlemen. Thanks.
We should back up just a little bit.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Good.
Kathy.
My turn.
Sorry.
Do you want to give her certificate as well? Okay, ready? Yours?
Okay, 1, 2, 3. Thank you. All right, so
You want to do it? Yeah. I'll do that. Thank you.
Congratulations. You should be very proud.
Okay.
All right, I'll grab. So we do have. So I do want to welcome up our other 2 winners for the middle school and high school categories. In middle school, we had Cameron from Eastlake Middle School and Haley from Lake Catholic High School. If you guys want to come up. Good. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Good.
Kathy.
Wait a minute. There we go. Ready? I'm not counting though. I'm just taking. Okay, one more.
the whole crew going here. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
You guys could just hold 1 second. I know some real proud parents would like to see you as well.
Perfect.
Okay, thanks.
One more.
Thank you all very much for all your artistic abilities that you submitted to our logo contest. We do have one last thing. We could have our middle school and high school winners have a seat again, but we would like to replace Reese's photo here in our room that will be up for the next year. So we want to again congratulate all of our winners. Reese, if you want to come over here, that one is yours. You can put it here with your family. Ladies, if you want to have a seat again, thank you. You can take that with you. That's yours to keep. And then we have a second one up here.
So we're going to take this one down and put your...
It's government. We do everything in triplets and quadruples.
Together, we're going to put this up. Hands on the picture. Yep.
Oh, perfect.
It's official. Thank you. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So we are going to have our students, since they did get out of class, to come today to our meeting. We're going to take just a second for them to be able to grab their additional prizes that we have for them for the contest, and then of course let them get back to class.
Do they need a note from us on the signed agenda?
Congratulations.
Thank you for joining us today. Sir?
Thank you.
Oh, your coffee?
She can carry the cup. Yes.
There you go. Teamwork.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you all for joining us. Okay, moving on. Madam Clerk.
Resolution proclaiming the month of April 2022 National County Government Month in Lake County, Ohio.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Jason, I believe you have something to add?
I'm actually just here for the photos. No, Commissioners, the National Association of Counties each April has declared April National County Month. So I appreciate you considering the resolution today, obviously somewhat ceremonial, but important to me as your county administrator on what we do here. You as the commissioners, our leaders, your fellow elected officials. We have a couple in the crowd, our treasurer recorder, the sheriff, the courts. I could go on and on, the auditor. But I also want to note your department heads and your employees who carry out just the vast number of operations and services for the residents and businesses of the county. I know, each week Suzanne and Randy are here, Mr. Gills for the engineer, our clerk, our legal, but, also today, thank God we haven't seen Mr. Busher for a while, so that's always a good sign. But Joe Busher's here from our EMA and the valuable service that he and his team, Central Communications under Sheriff Leon Bruno, Rhea and Marion from our Planning and Community Development Department, so from demographics, land use, zoning, federal grants that Marion and Rhea administer on a daily basis, and the phenomenal services that the folks, the nonprofit world, that they put out on the street. So I want to thank them. Nick from Stormwater is here. Nick and Stephen and Tim and Joe Marie and Susan do a phenomenal job. A lot of folks don't see what they do on a daily basis, but from a water quality, sustainable development, Tim and his team do a great job. So I want to thank Nick for being here today. Who am I missing? I think that's it. Who? Oh yeah, Mayor Morley too. And also we all know Mr. Matus, but he keeps us all in line. Mike really is fiscally prudent with the dollars that the commissioners approve on an annual basis to make sure that our elected officials and department heads have what they need to effectively and efficiently perform the services of Lake County. So I just wanted to take a moment, and I apologize if I did miss anyone, and I did. Rodney Shelton at the dog shelter and the services that a lot of folks don't know that he provides and his team. Mark Ifelice, who is responsible for maintaining every square foot of building in this county, and his team from inside, HVAC, landscaping, they do a great job. Paul Stefanko, our telecommunications director, and what he does in working with Joe and the sheriff on communications, public safety, radios, great job. David Strichko, our chief building official, we brought Dave back a number of years ago, and has really got our building department clicking on all cylinders. We've actually brought on new customers, other municipalities, and as you guys have heard, Dave's motto, which we should probably just adopt in general, is help not hinder. So I want to thank Dave and his team, and all the other employees of Lake County that continue to make us the best county in the state of Ohio. So thank you.
Well said, sir. Gentlemen, anything you want to add?
Mr. President,
Sir.
as our county administrator said, there's no way that everyone can be thanked. So this is a non-exclusive list, but I'd just like to add special thanks to our clerks, Jennifer Bell and Kathy Russo, because so much of what you see in county government is the direct result of their hard work. They answer the phone, they hear your concerns, they make sure that they come before the county administrator and the commissioners, they prepare the meetings, they prepare the ways that we honor the Clean and Green competition winners. They thoughtfully read the newspaper to see if anyone might have done something important so that we can recognize and acknowledge the many successes in Lake County. And I know that's a lot to ask of anyone, but Kathy and Jennifer do it with gusto and with joy, and they're such an important part of why Lake County is a special place.
Thank you.
And Commissioner Plechnik, I knew you would jump in on that, but I also want to echo my thanks to Jen, Kathy, and everybody on the 4th and 5th floors that we deal with on a daily basis. So thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. And I guess since Mr. Hackman's sitting there as well. Thanks, Dave.
All right, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Oh, that's his name.
Oh, that's his name. Oh, golly.
Commissioner
Jennifer, save
Young.
us.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes, thank you.
Resolution declaring April 2022 Fair Housing Month in Lake County, Ohio.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Mr. President,
Sir.
as Commissioner Young said, staying out of jail and owning a home is the American dream. And to date, I've been blessed to do both. But fair housing is about extending that dream to more and more people so that we can all call Lake County our home. And it's important to recognize that the American dream is still real and we need to fight for it.
Very good.
Very good. Well said.
Okay, if there's nothing further, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes, thank you. All right, Madam Clerk, continuing on with the former number 1.
In the Engineer's Office, resolution to advertise for bids for State Route 2 mowing in Lake County, Ohio, Lake County project number 2022-007, bid opening May 11, 2022.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Commissioners, this is an interesting resolution that we're going to try this year. The state does contract out now for all their mowing and so forth. With the manpower shortage that everybody is having, and we're having that too, and the fact that our mowers are getting pretty old and we have to spend a tremendous amount of money on trying to keep them running or buy new, and buying new right now is very difficult because they're unavailable. We have decided to try, at least on State Route 2, to let out a mowing contract for this particular year to evaluate the cost versus the efficiency and what we're getting, so that we can move forward, and this will help us in the area of maintenance for the tractors that we have. It will also help us in manpower because it will reduce our needs, and we can concentrate on other issues, which we have plenty of. So, having said all that, we would appreciate your approval and moving forward. Thank you.
Well said. Thank you, sir. Anything further? Okay, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik,
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
In the Utilities Department, resolution increasing appropriations and transferring cash within Lake County Department of Utilities Water Operating Fund and Project Fund 595, Tall Tree Booster Station Improvement Project 414W.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik,
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution increasing appropriations and transferring cash within Lake County Department of Utilities Solid Waste Operating Fund and Project Fund 597.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik,
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution increasing appropriations and transferring cash within Lake County Department of Utilities Sewer Operating Fund and Project Fund 596, Hazel Avenue Sanitary Sewer Rehabilitation Project 402S.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik,
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution certifying unpaid water and sewer sums and administrative charges to the Lake County Auditor.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik,
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution approving final estimate number 4, release of retainage in the amount of $25,308.37 with SET Incorporated, and accepting a 3-year maintenance bond in the amount of $80,009.06 for Som Center Road under I-90 Waterline Replacement Improvement Project 424W for the Lake County Department of Utilities.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik,
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution approving final change order number 1 with American Environmental Group Ltd. for Lake County Solid Waste GCCS Construction Improvements, Contract 2, Project 429L, decreasing the total contract amount by $108,249.59.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik,
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing execution of an agreement with Environmental Enterprises Incorporated for Household Hazardous Waste Collections 2022.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik,
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
In the Commissioner's Office, resolution authorizing execution of an agreement with Durable Dimensions for 3-tier shelving units for the Recorder's Office in the amount of $64,571.96.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Now, if you want to have the recorder have a small heart attack, let's talk about tabling this. Do you want to come on up? No. There was just a very
A small heart attack?
small heart attack. That'd be a large heart attack. Anything you want to add, ma'am? Or
I do, because I brought you the...
come on up.
It'll just take me a minute.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Protocol here. Becky Lynch, Lake County Recorder, 8040 King Memorial, for the record. For the resolution you have, it's the $64,000 question, just a part of a project we have ongoing in the Recorder Office for about 1.5 years now. So the map that you have there is the location that these new shelves, the steel shelves are going to be in the former tax map and GIS department in the Becky's bunker level of the administration building. So the new ones are going to be in the new space, and all the books that are going to be going from 2 spots in the back in the closet past the back hallway will be moved over to there likely about towards the end of the year, August, September, October, because it's going to take us 90 to 120 days to get these racks. So this is the detail on what those beautiful new steel racks are going to be used for. And I'll take any questions.
You've actually been a tremendous partner through this entire process. As we were building this building, planning out what the future of the existing buildings and the refit was going to look like, you've been a great partner through the entire process. For that, I'd like to personally thank you. Gentlemen, if anything you want to add?
Mr. President, unless if you take a personal tour of the recorder's office and see the original records of Lake County dating back to 1840, where every single deed and mortgage was handwritten in cursive script, you can't appreciate the importance of the history that we have there. It really details the first landowners, the first decisions made to develop our county and build it to where we are today, and it's absolutely critical that we maintain that history. And I know that Recorder Lynch has viewed herself in the most important way as the custodian of that history and those records. And so I'm glad that we can make a permanent contribution to that with a resource that will last a very long time to help preserve those records. I just hope that more members of the public have the chance to see it. You cannot have a historic tour of Lake County without seeing those records, and we need to do a better job of letting people know that this is your history and you have a right to see it.
Thanks. Very good. Thank you. I gave you all a copy, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir?
I just wanted to say that what really impresses me about what you've done is you're stepping into that position with, I don't think you had hardly any background in government. You stepped into that position and you just took over. And you did it in such a gracious and cooperative way that it's just been a pleasure to work with you and to see the way that you get things done without stepping on people's toes, without causing problems, just working for the people and getting the job done every day. So I just wanted to thank you for that. It is recognized by a lot of people, so thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Young. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Bless you. Thank
Anything
you.
else?
We're there. All right. If there's nothing further, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Pletchnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution in the matter of electing to take the standard allowance of up to $10 million as the amount of revenue lost for use for the provision of governmental services under Section 603C1C of the American Rescue Plan.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Mr. President,
Sir.
I'm looking to legal, so please add or correct, but the purpose of this resolution is to essentially have the most possible flexibility in utilizing the ARP funding going forward. This is not a decision as to how to spend it per se, but it's a decision to give greater flexibility in its expenditure.
Correct. Yes.
Thank you.
And if I can just add, this was a ministerial function. The final guidance, Jason, I don't know if you want to comment, the final guidance from the Treasury, there's mixed reviews as to the timing on this, but I think getting ahead of it sooner rather than later is appropriate. Jason?
Yeah, this is, thank you, Commissioner. This mirrors what a number of counties across the state of Ohio are doing, taking advantage of one of the amendments, if you will, and when the final rule was published a few months ago, basically allowing a community, Lake County in our instance, to take $10 million of the $44 million and using it for quote-unquote government services. So it provides a great deal of flexibility for counties, well, communities across the country to identify needs, COVID-related needs that best fit their community. So this is a function that was required, and that's what's in front of you this morning for consideration.
Thank you. Okay, if there's nothing further, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik,
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution appointing Barbara Dixon to the Northeast Ohio Community Alternative Program Facility Governing Board to complete the remainder of a term expiring November 9th, 2022.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik,
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution appointing Matthew J. Hebebrand to the Lakeland Community College Board of Trustees to complete the remainder of a term expiring March 6, 2026.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Mr. President,
Sir.
we start by thanking President of the Board of Trustees Ryan Callender for well over a decade of distinguished service, not just to Lakeland Community College, but to all Lake Countyans. His time on the board as a senior attorney with a very valuable and legally based perspective has helped to guide Lakeland in all respects. And there are no words sufficient to thank him for that service, but nonetheless it has to be said. Ryan has been a distinguished contributor as a volunteer of his services to his community for a very long time, and we are very grateful to Ryan for that. But I think it's important as we look to find someone to continue his role that the board has a steady hand with an understanding of the law and legal guidance so that that perspective is not lost. And so I am grateful for the wisdom of the County Commission today in seeing Matt Hebebrand as the right person to carry that work forward. As an assistant county prosecutor for Ashtabula, he gives that legal perspective and a law and order perspective to the Board of Trustees. As someone who has worked for a judge in another state, he provides a balanced view of what the law is and should be. And as my former student, I know that he cares deeply about higher education and wants to make sure that his children will go on to have a great education in Northeast Ohio, stay here, succeed here, which is the foundational goal of Lakeland Community College. So as a professor, I'm so proud to see my student rise in leadership position after leadership position, and I know he will represent us well.
Well said. Commissioner Young, anything you'd like to add, sir?
No, I think that those comments are very appropriate and well taken. I think I would just muddy the waters if I waited in here. That's well said.
Very good. I agree. Thank you, sir. I mean, I agree with his words, not the muddying the water part. Allow me to be abundantly clear. You got to be careful where that comma winds up. That Oxford comma will get you if you don't pay attention. All right, with that, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik,
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes, and I believe Matthew is joining us today, sir. Would you like to come on up? I believe Commissioner Plechnik has the official resolution for you. And
Well, first a few words.
oh, of course,
I would just like to thank you each individually and as a board for granting me this honor, and I thank you in particular, Commissioner Plechnik, for your very kind words. I do see this as a very solemn responsibility to Lake County, that I see Lakeland Community College as a beacon to draw residents to this county, to provide affordable education, to draw students here, to keep them here, to grow our economy, and to establish a broad-based, knowledgeable citizenry in this county, and I look forward to all the responsibilities that the position of trustee entails. So thank you.
fantastic. Now, I will say, speaking personally for myself, I think it's no secret that I'm a strong supporter of Lakeland Community College. I look forward to seeing you on that board, and I know that the college will be in good hands. So bless you for accepting this assignment.
Thank you.
So Matt, if you would approach.
Sure.
Commissioners? Congratulations, Matt.
Thank you.
Mr. Trustee.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk?
In the Finance Department, resolution approving payment of bills as listed on the Commissioner's Approval Journal in the amount of $2,902,407.34.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik,
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution approving purchase orders as listed on the Commissioner's Purchase Order Approval Journal in the amount of $4,767,896.79.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution establishing a fund to be known as Board of Election Grant Fund.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Jason, do you want to add anything, or we're good as is? Very good. Okay, thank you. All right, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik,
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution increasing an appropriation for a general fund account.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik,
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution transferring cash and appropriations within various general and non-general fund accounts.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Plechnik,
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes. All right, moving on to departmental reports. Utilities.
No report today, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir. Job and Family Services.
Good morning, Commissioners. Two things today. Wanted to share that last week the Biden administration extended the public health emergency through mid-July, which means that many of the public assistance programs that our agency administers will be extended for the next 90 days. So as I've mentioned before, eventually the public health emergency will end, which means that those programs that have been created as a result of the pandemic will end. So we will continue to monitor that at Job and Family Services and notify the public when we have more information.
Very good.
And last but not least, I wanted to thank Commissioner Plechnik for stopping by the Ohio Needs Jobs Center on Monday and visiting the Department of Job and Family Services. He was thoughtful and engaged during the visit. He brought a lot of energy into the building, and I know myself and our staff really enjoyed meeting with him. So thank you again, Commissioner.
Thank you, Madam Director. I would just say, to the extent that we can, it's so important for Lake County residents to know the many services that you provide to families and that Ohio Means Jobs Lake County provides to all job seekers. It really is the career services center for not only employees but employers. We do a lot, as our Department of Utilities has personally experienced, to hold job fairs and hiring events and one-on-one interviews, because we're all about connecting jobs and job seekers in Lake County. When we say workforce development, we mean it, but that starts in your department and in your partnership with Ohio Means Jobs Lake County, so we thank you.
Very good. All right, moving on to County Administrator.
As I knew I would forget, in my earlier remarks regarding the National Association of Counties County Awareness Month, I'd be remiss if I did not mention a couple more agencies, notably our Board of Elections and the work that they do daily. It's been an interesting couple of years for Director McDonald and his staff and board, so they do a phenomenal job, so I want to recognize them. Our Veteran Services Commission, Mr. Wormling, and the services they provide to our veterans throughout the county. I want to make sure I did not forget Auditor Galloway and his team, and obviously under the auditor is our IT department. You know, a lot of folks don't recognize the importance of IT until your laptop's not working or you've got a glitch in the software. So thanks to Nick and his team. Sebastian's here every week. they are a utility. IT is a utility in my mind, and they keep us running, so thanks to IT. And then also, on our floor, commissioners, one of your direct employees is Aaliyah and Kristen, and what they do for our seniors in Lake County in the administration of senior dollars, getting them to senior centers, getting them to the Council on Aging, transportation, home rehab projects. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention those folks, and I apologize. I'm sure I'm going to get text that I forgot someone else. So great job, Lake County.
And hold on, before you go, I knew you'd be batting cleanup because you did leave the door open saying, hey, there's so many more out there, which is a true statement. But I believe this board, I especially would be remiss if I did not say thank you, Jason.
Thank you.
You have exceeded expectations from the day I met you. You're impressive.
Thanks.
I will say, and I've said this before, and I will echo this yet again, from the early hours of the COVID crisis, when you were serving the people of Lake County from your hospital bed, you made it easy for me to be working here, coordinating as president, working with other agencies. You were, even when you were down, you were still in the fight, providing a valuable service to the people of Lake County. And I'll just add this, you've heard me say this before, you put up with the three of us. You are that ambassador, you're that guy who hears our concerns, hears our passions, communicates with the department heads, communicates with other electeds, communicates with their staff. You're that ambassador for Lake County. And I hear your name brought up as I interface with state agencies, associations. You're impressive. So don't be too quick to hustle off and sit down. So thank you for putting up with all these pats on the back.
I really appreciate that, but you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with, and I think you guys have done a nice job allowing us to put a team together that has the residents of Lake County first. So thank you for the words.
Well said, Commissioner Young, Commissioner Plechnik, anything you want to add to that?
Mr. President?
Sir.
Our county administrator opened the door when he gave high praise to our Assistant County Prosecutor, Dave Hackman. But I think it's important to note that Dave is part of a very important team that makes sure that our county always does it by the book, always does it the right way. I'm sure we're familiar with neighboring counties where half the elected officials went to prison a decade or two ago. Lake County always holds itself to the highest standard because our county prosecutor, Chuck Colson, is such an advocate for following the law in all respects. And as a law professor myself, I share that passion, and I am very grateful to Dave, to County Prosecutor Chuck Colson, and to the many assistant prosecutors, paralegals, victims' rights advocates who work with them. They have my absolute 100% support because they make sure that every tax dollar is spent according to the law. They make sure that justice is done in Lake County. They make sure that we are held to the highest standard, and there is no substitute for that. Every taxpayer in Lake County has confidence in our government, not because of any politician, but because we have a justice system second to none, and that begins in our county prosecutor's office. So I want to say that strongly and powerfully. But it doesn't end there. We need to have our judges, our clerk of courts, our sheriff's office on the front line working with our county prosecutor to make sure that the laws of Lake County, Ohio, and the Constitution of the United States are always enforced. And it gives me such great confidence to have Dave Hackman or Mike DeLeon sitting with us, speaking with and for Chuck Colson, because they are our guideposts to make sure we always do it by the book, we always follow the law, and Lake County always does it the right way. So let me say thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner, and I guess I would just say this. Chuck Colson, if he were here, he would stand aside and say it's the assistant prosecutors, the legal secretaries, the victim assistance program, the people in our crime lab, our investigators that make this office work. And there's some pretty hard working people down there. I will say that.
Very good.
I'd be remiss if I just didn't quickly say that working with the prosecutor's office here in Lake County, you always know what you're going to get. You don't get some weird squirrely feedback when you ask for an interpretation of the law. You get which I can appreciate, a conservative, straightforward response that you can work with and that makes sense. And consistently, and these days with the world changing so quickly, so many things in the law apparently not meaningful anymore, and so many new things that seem to bend the law, as I understand it, taking preeminence. I don't see that from our prosecutor's office. I see consistency and simply following the law, and that's deeply appreciated. And in reference to Jason, our county administrator, he is unseen basically by the world, and yet things would come to a screeching halt if it wasn't for Jason's presence here. The historical knowledge he brings to the table of how things have operated in the past, what works, what doesn't work, what's the best path to take moving forward. Not that he's laying down, he's simply presenting alternatives and options. And those options work. So just an invaluable resource that I can't imagine us operating without. So thank you to the prosecutor's office. Thank you to our administrator.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, moving on to Clerk. Madam Clerk.
Yes, I wanted to mention that the next Commissioners' meeting is going to be next Thursday, April 28th, here at 10 a.m.
Thank you. Anything for our Clerk? Okay, moving on to Legal. Sir.
I'm going to pull a Jason Boyd here. I may have missed someone else in our office. The administrative staff in the prosecutor's office is top-notch.
Very good. Thank you. All right, and that moves on now to old business. Do we have any old business to come before this board? Any old business? Seeing none. Okay, moving on to new business. Do we have any new business? Floor is yours, sir.
Alrighty. Well, I don't want to take much time, and if anyone needs to leave, please go ahead and leave. This is simply an administrative function right now. I wanted to give notice that I'm leaving in 2 weeks. I'm retiring. I thought it's appropriate I'd give notice to my constituents, the people, my employers, the folks out there that gave me this job, and I really appreciate it. I want to quickly summarize just a little bit about how my career began and why it's ending now. So I hope to do all this in under 10 minutes. And again, please feel free to simply get up and walk out. Try not to laugh at me as you're leaving the room. I'd appreciate that. But at any rate, many of you don't know, but my career, my professional career, has always been focused on the private sector. I operated a small business for 34 years, and it still exists today. It's down in Texas now, a professional job placement service. I was a headhunter for a number of years. And what got me into politics, probably like a number of people, was when the state created a brand new tax that was just designed for me, for headhunters like I was at the time. My staff and I didn't enjoy their appreciation. It created the tax where every time we charged a fee to an employer, we'd have to tack on an additional 6%. So you can imagine you charge a $20,000 fee to a company, you tack on your 6%, $1,200, people wonder why we're charging them an additional $1,200. So I went down to Columbus and I kept poking around trying to find why in the world our industry had been targeted in this way. And finally, one of the directors down there told me unequivocally, he said, "Well, Ron, the answer is obvious." So it's not obvious to me. And he said, "Well, you folks don't have a lobbyist in Columbus." That's That's a direct quote. It was very odd because we're talking about finding a job for an individual. And you know, the days of slavery have long ended. It isn't as if I'm selling these people and therefore they're a commodity where a sales tax should be tacked onto my fee. At any rate, the whole thing seemed absurd. I was very upset, to say the least. And plus, I was extremely pro-life. I still am. And I didn't like the way that issue was trending. So, lower taxes, pro-life, and definitely anti-e-check was my platform. And somehow, by some miracle, God's intervention, I believe, I won that election. So I became a state representative. So I walked away from a successful firm, less than half the income that I was accustomed to earning, for a job that didn't even compensate me for my travel on or my overnights down in Columbus. But I had won the election, and I had the fever at that point, and I couldn't let go. So there were a number of things I wanted to change about the world in general. And by golly, at that point in my naive life, I felt I was the guy to make those changes, that I was going to protect and maximize personal freedoms and reduce the size of government and reduce taxes. And also, as a caveat to all of that, to preserve and protect a God-honoring society where the right to worship was protected. You can see some of the product of that on the wall over here. With God, all things are possible, which is, by the way, our state motto. A lot of people don't realize that. So it's much more than just our motto, though. That's a verse directly from the Bible as well. So at any rate, through this whole process, I've learned a lot about myself and about government. And I'll just summarize what I learned, and this is going to be extremely cynical, so please bear with me. I'm not talking to a crazed right-wing crowd here. I'm talking to my friends in government. So what I learned, I believe, in a very generalized sense, is that government's top priorities are basically to grow and protect itself. And I saw that in Columbus over and over again. I have not seen that here in Lake County. I have not seen that in Lake County. But I saw it in Columbus very vividly. And I learned that the top priority of most politicians is to protect themselves and promote their careers. That's what keeps people moving forward, primary motivation. Term limits are very uncomfortable, but very, very necessary. There's a lot of reasons why they're bad, but I think the major reason is that they're good is simply this, that over time people grow so powerful, their name becomes so well known in their districts that there is no way to move them out of office, no matter how poorly they perform, simply because the public knows the name and they're willing to vote for them over and over and over again. At any rate, it's a match made in heaven. These two have so much in common. Politicians, like I was, and still am to a point, and government. So that's something that is extremely complex to deal with, and I became so frustrated over that issue that I've learned to back away from it a bit, realizing that that's not the kind of change you can implement overnight. How do you reduce the size of government? How do you lower taxes and take away some of government's power, which is synonymous with lower taxes? But the only way to do it is to continue to lower taxes. So I fought very strongly for that in Columbus. and was successful in many regards. We cut taxes, particularly income taxes, dramatically, reduced the size of state government from about 60,000 employees to down to about 40,000 employees. So it was very significant as far as the numbers of people. We did that by attrition. We didn't want to lay people off, and we weren't in an emergency situation, so we were able to just not hire in the positions as people left. At my core, I would say through my whole time in government, I've remained sort of a disgruntled small businessman. So, very simple approach to government. Let's shrink it as much as we can. Very simple approach to taxes. Let's shrink them as much as we can. The reality is, for a lot of you who may be aspiring to the political world, while I set out to change the world, I changed some things around the edges. But in the end, I have to say I was the one that was changed in a number of different ways. So it's been an honor to serve, and I know that's not a particularly happy message I've delivered to you so far, but I think it is a reality. At the same time, though, it's been an honor to serve, both in Columbus and here in Lake County. My fellow commissioners, John and John, have been very supportive. You know, this was a very challenging period of time for me. My wife died at the beginning of this session. Then I contracted leukemia, went through a round of chemotherapy at the Sedman Cancer Center, which was unsuccessful. They weren't ready to do the bone marrow transplant. So I had some time, so I contracted COVID. I had to do something with my spare time, right? So I ended up at Lake West, and then in January of that same year, Cleveland Clinic put me through chemo again, and they did the bone marrow transplant. Shortly thereafter, I got COVID again. So it's been a challenging time, and I haven't always been physically able to do everything I would have liked to have done. But through that whole period, the staff here, my fellow commissioners, the directors, everyone was very, very supportive. And I greatly appreciated that. So the question is, why leave now? Well, events and new perspectives have changed me. I don't want to go into that in detail, but I have new life goals now, which are mainly focused on the service of Christ. And I'm going to devote myself to that full time. So again, it's been a real pleasure, and I appreciate your indulgence, your patience with me, and thank you for this opportunity to work with you all. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with us for a while, too. You guys are always so busy. Thank you.
We kind of give them the heads up not to leave, so.
Mr. President.
Sir.
Ron, we love you. And when I say we, I don't just mean your fellow commissioners, which is certainly true, the staff who've seen you fight through, persevere through great personal loss, COVID, cancer, but never miss a meeting. And we love you for that dedication. When I say we, though, I really mean all of Lake County, because you have been a friend to so many people in so many contexts in such kind ways. No one ever called you a politician other than you yourself, because you're not. You say it in a jocular and self-deprecating way, but you are a neighbor. You're a small businessman. And more than that, you're a friend and family member to everyone who ever knew you. I will never forget the first time we met. I just moved back to Lake County. And I was going to a city council fundraiser. I was just going to meet some people. I was brand new. And I sat down next to you. You sat down next to me. And you started asking me questions about what I cared about and where I'd like to see the world go. And you looked at me and said, you should run for office someday. And I know that was just another day for you because you have constantly reached out your entire career, mentored and supported countless people who look up to you. But I would not be sitting at this dais beside you without your inspiration, your help, your support, and your mentorship. And there are so many people in Lake County and all of Ohio that would say the same thing given the chance. But I've been blessed with the chance to sit next to you, to call you a colleague. And there's no way that I can be happy about that time ending. But I am so proud of the work that we had the opportunity to do together. The blessing that it's been to work on a senior discount on water and sewer fees together because you care so much about people living on a fixed income. To watch every line of the budget like a hawk, protecting the tax dollar because you never forgot how hard it was to pay that as a small businessman trying to found a company. It's been inspirational. All of Lake County loves you. And I know that they wish they were at this microphone and had a chance to speak, so I'm going to do my best to speak for the countless people that you have helped and benefited over the years. No one wants to see you go, and I know that in your new role as a full-time neighbor and brother in Christ, I know that the good that you will continue to do with every day God gives you will impact many, many lives for decades to come. So Ron, your family here in Lake County can't say thank you enough. I wish I had better words. I wish I were more eloquent to express just how much we need you and how much you've given to us. But with the best that I can say, your retirement is a great loss to Lake County, and the only sunshine from it is the knowledge that you aren't leaving us, that you're still our neighbor in Leroy, that you still care about each and every person here, and I know that one way or the other, as long as God gives you, you will be making a difference because that is what you've done your entire life. So, thank you, Ron.
Well said. Well, Ron, outside of politics, I can say thank you for letting me be a part of your personal life at the memorial for your dear wife, Kathy. When you were standing up front and discussing your loving wife, your years together, your children. And when the moment kind of got hold of you, I will say I felt honored when you looked at me in the audience and said, John, what do I do? And without hesitation, I said, trust in the Lord. And you knew exactly what that meant. You collected yourself and you soldiered on. Sometimes we stumble, and sometimes we can get a foot or two off the path. But when you trust in the Lord, you will do things that are pleasing to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I am honored that as we worked through the COVID protocols, which allowed us to do remote meetings and phone call-ins, and working around your illness, this really isn't meant to be a joke, but it is a little humorous. I learned a new term, chemo brain. Wow. Ron, you should send a Christmas card to some of those nurses. You're not an easy patient. But the beauty of it is, though, your passion was there, and more than once I could hear you showing grace. I could hear the frustration in your voice trying to collect your thoughts and be a good servant. And just trying to maintain some basic dignity when you're going through that process. that is an example. Cancer is a very serious thing. It takes the lives of so many, and it affects family members, friends. But you have been an example, and that means a great deal to so many people. And for that I say thank you, and bless you for all that you've done. Thank you. Okay. I'm almost hesitant to say, is there any other new business? Any other new business? All right, hearing none. Moving on to our second public comment portion. Do I have anyone wishing to address the board? Yes, sir.
Michael Paul, 7665 Manor Avenue, Suite 325. One thing I'd like to talk about is the new jail. What's the current status of the new jail, and what are we doing to, get funding for it? And the reason why I ask is not to, question the great job you guys are doing, is I have a contact in Cayuga who may be able to provide federal funds. The issue is I don't know the process of doing that between local, county, and federal. So I don't know if I should contact you, maybe set up a meeting to meet this individual. He is a United States Senator.
Nice. Jason Boyd, our county administrator, would be an excellent conduit to talk to.
Okay. Thank you so much. Have a good day, Mr. Commissioners.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Much appreciated. Anyone else? Mr. Massey?
Brian Massey, 8196 Rainbow Drive in Concord. Commissioner Young, congratulations. As a fellow brother in Christ, if you need help in spreading the word, all you have to do is ask. The issue that I have before the commissioners today, I have 4 copies. It's like 8 pages. And may I approach the commissioners and hand this to you, because it may, in order for you to follow what I'm going to say, you're going to need the documents in front of you.
Can you flip to our clerk, please? Thank you, sir. Thank you, Madam Clerk.
I was before the commissioners last week and expressed an opinion that I really thought that Mr. Callender on the Lakeland board, living outside of the county, really didn't have skin in the game. Well, I've come here to ask you for some help. This is a follow-up to that discussion last week about Ryan Callender. We understand that Mr. Callender has tendered his resignation, and we thank him for doing what is in the best interest of Lake County taxpayers. Lakeland placed a renewal levy on the November 2021 ballot, and it was approved by the voters. That renewal levy brings in approximately $8 million in revenue to Lakeland. My memory serves me correct, Commissioner Hamercheck, you supported the levy, but I believe Commissioners Young and Commissioner Plechnik expressed no opinion. Lakeland gets about $19 million in property taxes from Lake County. $8 million was from the last levy that was passed. Well, we have a lot of sources in Lake County that keep us apprised of what is happening in the county, and a couple sources have given us some information, very disturbing information, about contract negotiations going on between Morris Beverage and the Lakeland Board of Trustees. And we're asking for the commissioners for help in sorting out fact from fiction. This is not something that I can get, I can issue a public records request and get some information, but I see with the appointment of our new trustee, and I congratulate him, I'm concerned. Our sources pulled back the curtain. And this contract with Mr. Morris Beverage, I couldn't believe it when I first heard it. It was so lucrative. I said, this can't be true, but I need to have your guidance on this. His current 5-year contract is about to expire. The exact date is unknown. He receives $379,000 plus employee benefits with a $100,000 bonus at the end of the contract period. Mr. Beveridge is looking for another 5-year contract with a $500,000 cash bonus at the end of the contract term and a significant increase in his annual salary. As I was told, the current offer from the Board of Trustees, in addition to the honorariums that Mr. Beveridge will be eligible to receive from speaking engagements, there's going to be a salary increase from $379,000 to $675,000 in the first year with annual cost of living increases. There's going to be a bonus. The bonus is offered, again, allegedly, an increase in, with the increase in salary from $379,000 to $675,000 in the first year, with annual cost increases there every year after that. The bonus will be a signing bonus of $100,000 in the first year. This is not the $100,000 that he gets from the expiration of the current contract. This is a new $100,000 with the signing of a new 5-year contract. There will be a lump sum bonus, allegedly, of $300,000 at the end of the 5th year. There's a buyout of the contract after the first year. If either side terminates the contract in the first year, the entire amount of the contract due remaining in the 5-year contract is paid upon termination. That could amount over $3 million if that is true. On the second page, I created an Excel spreadsheet with the numbers to show the amount of dollars that we've got involved here. Remember, the levy passed in November that brought in $8 million to the school. So I'm looking at a contract here that's going to pay out about $4 million if he terminates after the first year. And all of this, is included with his pension that he receives because he's a double dipper. On page 3, I tried to do some research on what are college presidents, being paid in the United States. And on page 3, we can just see the 50% or median is $311,000 per year, with a high going up to $542,000, which is still, so the $679,000 that they're contemplating seems a little high for a community college. On page 4, again, another search showed that an associate degree college with the ranks, presidents earned on average $273,000. The high was $589,000 and the low of $124,000. Then on page 5, I wanted to see what private colleges were paying. So I found an article dated December 10, 2017. Case Western Reserve University president Barbara Snyder, her base salary was $700,312 with a $175,000 bonus. And on page 6, we have some more, college presidents' salaries. And I would say that for a community college, a 2-year college, what we're paying at $379 seems to be on the high end, but going to $679, that's more in line with a 4-year college. Then on page 7, I said, well, what's happening in Lakeland? What's happening to their enrollment? And this is something that I published on Lobbyists for Citizens before. And, from 2010 to 2020, there's been a decrease of 42.4% in enrollment. Then I remember that there was some discussion about putting in dorms in a two-year college, and I found that to be a little different, I guess. I didn't realize that that was a mission of. I always thought the community colleges were really for those in the community. So I'm wondering if there's decisions being made at Lakeland Community College that they want to switch from a two-year community college to a four-year college. If that would be the case, then probably it would make sense to increase the salaries to those high numbers. And then I wonder, whose decision is that? Do the taxpayers get to decide if Lakeland goes from a 2 to a 4-year college, or is that just automatically done? Is that done by the Board of Trustees, and we as taxpayers are just really on the hook to pay for the bill on decisions that they made? I honestly don't know the answer to that. I'm just asking. And then what happens if we go from a 2-year to a 4-year college? Does that impact the 3 property tax levies that are already in the books? Does that just automatically, are they automatically in place? So I've got more questions than answers, and I don't know where to go to verify all of this, so that's why I'm coming before the commissioners to maybe ask for some guidance as far as, do I just go to the Lakeland Community Board and ask them if this is true or not? Because, I took a look at my tax bill, and I'm paying $428.51 a year to Lakeland. I don't use any of the facilities, but that's part of, being a citizen in Lake County. But I want to make sure that all of our entities that are receiving the taxpayer dollars through property taxes are good stewards of the taxpayers' money. So I'm here asking for some guidance as far as, where do you suggest that I go to resolve this issue? Because I'm going to, I need to get it resolved. The citizens of Lake County need to know if this is even on the drawing board. I'll finish. If that makes sense, what I've just said.
Brian, turn my phone. These are very disturbing numbers. What is the source of the numbers you're presenting?
Commissioner Young, I never reveal my sources.
Okay. But you feel that you trust these sources? You feel you
I've never been.
To a point, you trust your sources.
I always try to corroborate things before I actually publish it on Lobbyists for Citizens. I think that's extremely important in good journalism. But when these sources, who have been reliable sources in the past, when they mention this to me, and then I'm just raising my hand here to the commissioners to make sure, if you're not aware of it, you should be aware of it, and perhaps you'll be inquisitive to find out, is this legitimate or not? I would love to have you come back, Commissioner Young, and say, Brian, you're full of hot air. That isn't even considered. And I'll say, okay, thank you very much. But if it is true, the citizens of Lake County will be informed of this.
Oh, you've been working at these issues for a long time now, getting information from various organizations on a lot of different topics. How are you approaching Lakeland at this point? Just public record requests?
I have made many public records requests. The last thing was dealing with Steve Olick, who was the gentleman that sued and won $350,000, from Lakeland for he had PTSD and he was not treated properly. Of course, Lakeland, settled, but they didn't say that they were guilty of anything. But I tried to get that out into the public. The News Herald would not print the article. I did publish it on Lobbyists for Citizens. So I did have I had all the information, records request, from their attorney. Amy Sabbath used to be my contact at Lakeland Community College, but she doesn't want to communicate with me anymore, and so now I have to deal directly with their attorney.
They still have to respond to public record requests, right?
Yes, and to the attorney's credit, he does it on a very timely and complete and accurate basis. So I have no problem with Lakeland in their transparency when it's asked for.
So you feel you have an avenue now to corroborate your...
I'm looking for corroboration. I'm asking the commissioners, can you help, corroborate that? If not, I guess I will go to the board. I mean, I'm not opposed to doing that. I think their next meeting is early May or something like that.
So your party alleges that these issues have been brought up before the board.
Right.
And the board is discussing them.
Yeah, and I also was told that Mr. Callender was the fifth vote to make this happen. And I can't prove that, but that would be very interesting to Mr. Callender when we brought to the attention of the commissioners that he resigned. And maybe Mr. Callender is saying, thank goodness my name was brought up. Maybe he didn't want to be part of this. I don't know.
Well, I'm glad you brought this up in the second public portion before Matthew accepted the appointment.
I didn't know how to.
No.
I didn't know how to approach that.
As you have seen here today, this board appoints some of the board members at Lakeland College. There is a political subdivision. Yes, I did support their levy. Yes, as I believe I indicated when Matthew came up, I do believe strongly that Lakeland is an asset to Lake County, just like Auburn Career Center and Lake Erie College. But I do have a near and dear spot with Lakeland. I believe the quality of education that comes out of there is amazing. We've got many success stories to point to. The numbers, I can't say I have anything firsthand. I've heard the $100,000 end of the 5-year contract. That's sort of been out there circulating for a while. These other numbers, I would be stunned if the entire board had been negotiating something like this. This seems generous. I'm kind of, you almost gave us a punch list here. Hang on a second. As far as going to a 4-year college, I think Lakeland, I'm looking to legal, was created, forgive me if I'm hitting it cold. Lakeland was created by a vote of the people. We probably have to look at the language and what their charter is and how they were created. I think it was the Ohio Board of Regents at the time. I don't know what that body is called now, if it's still.
It's also statutory as well. I just want to weigh in on one thing. I think it's clear, but I want to make sure everyone understands that this Board of Commissioners has no control over the day-to-day activities.
Yeah, yes, I understand. I understand, Mr. Hackman. I do understand that.
Just if I could just continue down, do the taxpayers get to decide at the ballot box? Well, every time something comes up, I guess that's a yes, but I would defer that to parties more familiar with that action than I. And then the 3 current property tax levies carry over to a 4-year college. Again, I'm imagining you'd have to see how they were created, and you'd have to examine the ballot language. And that sounds incredibly complicated. Mr. Hackman, thoughts?
I haven't researched the issue. I don't know if it is or isn't.
Yeah. I suppose we could certainly ask for would we have the language? I'm going to look to our clerk. Would we have the original language? Hey, we just talked to Becky Lynch about our records. With that original approval to go on the ballot, that would have come from the Board of Commissioners.
Yeah, if there's a resolution creating Lakeland, we can find it in our
So we can do that.
Or the board, creating the board.
Is that, I'm looking at the legal, Mr. Hackman, that's reasonable? That would be an existing record?
The public record.
Okay, so I can issue a public records request to you.
I think you just did.
Okay.
So that's pretty clear and unambiguous. Regarding these other issues, Yeah, if I see my colleague here, he's champing at the bit, so I'm gonna.
I mean, Mr. President, first and foremost, I condition every comment on the understanding that we don't have any final numbers or official numbers from Lakeland Community College before us, and so we're reacting to what a member of the public has shared from sources that he is not revealing. And so it may be that this is a mammoth misunderstanding and that no numbers anywhere near close to these were discussed, involved, accurate. And so we certainly acknowledge, I think everyone acknowledges that we don't know for a fact that these numbers are the ones being paid to the president's position or negotiated for the president's position. I would just echo Commissioner Ron Young and his philosophy that I believe in shrinking government and its cost. I believe government is too big and that it's the mission of true public servants to reduce it. There are seniors being taxed out of their homes. Property taxes are an especially great burden. And those property taxes do in fact fund most of our education in Lake County, both grade school, high school, as well as higher education like Lakeland. I also share President Hamercheck's love for higher education. I'm a professor, and I care deeply about the work that Lakeland does, which is why I'm so thoughtful in choosing my trustees, and why I view it as one of the most important functions of the commissioners in appointing the board of Lakeland, 6 of the 9 members, the other 3 being appointed by the governor of Ohio. But as someone who cares about reducing government and its cost on taxpayers that are already very overburdened. I mean, I've heard candidates for county commissioners say that salaries of 90-some thousand for countywide elected officials are obnoxious. I would say that to pay the president nearly $1 million of a local school, many times more than the county prosecutor, the sheriff, or a judge, roles that are mission critical and save lives every day. I mean, if this number was accurate, if someone even seriously proposed $7-some hundred thousand with bonuses and honorariums on top of it, it's horrifying to me to even hear this as a thought. Forget a serious proposal that anyone could even conceive of numbers in this ballpark. I recoil in horror. And I would hope, and I have confidence, that the trustees of Lakeland Community College would never seriously entertain a proposal like this. I mean, to pay a president more than a county prosecutor, more than a sheriff, even more than a judge, is a pretty bold thing to do. But to pay them more than the common pleas judges combined would be just it's the stuff of
you bring up an interesting point, Commissioner Plechnik, that there are certain candidates that are running for commissioner saying that you guys have a part-time job. Is that true?
That individual is woefully misguided.
I just wondered, when I saw it, I said, well, yeah.
Forgive my laughter, but I find his statements contemptuous.
Because I know I've seen all of you, after 5 o'clock, and doing a commissioner thing. So I didn't think that you were working, 1 day a week. So.
I come in on the weekends.
Yeah,
because you cannot do the job 5 days a week.
Okay.
But it's not about the money for the sheriff, the judges, the prosecutors. There is many, many times more money to be made in the private sector. If I were still a lawyer in New York, I'd conservatively be making between $500,000 and $1 million a year. If I'd stayed at a firm of similar size and continued, I have classmates who are still there and are making that money. But I believe that public service is worth the sacrifice, and you expect to be paid a lot less, which is why when I see someone heading up a public institution, I expect them to make a sacrifice, to be paid less to do that important work. And that doesn't mean that the work is not appreciated, just because you're not paid as much as a CEO of a private company. But I frankly, I don't mean this in disrespect to you, Mr. Massey, but I cannot believe that these numbers were ever a serious proposal. Until I see a public records request on Lakeland letterhead, I will assume that this is somebody's wild fantasy, because there is no universe where a responsible person, knowing that this money comes directly from the taxpayers of Lake County, would suggest paying nearly $1 million to the president of a local community college. I can't believe it to be true. And even the numbers that are stated as current salaries, nearly $400,000 a year, I am in disbelief, and I am looking forward to you being proven wrong.
Yeah, well, the 379, Commissioner Plechnik, that I mentioned in here, that was from a records request that I received from the college. So that's a solid number that I did receive, that he does get $379,000 a year. No, there's no question about that. That's a records request. And I've already published that on Lobbyists for Citizens. So,
Mr. Massey, are you aware, I know that sometimes when excessive pay is given to presidents or administrators of colleges, they do it with the understanding that they donate the entire salary back. Have you done a public records request to see how much the donations were?
no, I have not.
Well, it may be that this is not as big an issue as we think. It could be that Mr. Beveridge is actually donating the salary back, because I can't imagine he would accept that much money.
We will address that, Commissioner Plechnik. Oh, thank you very much. I've taken up way too much of your time, but...
That's okay. I've heard this theme about taking a wage and donating it back. Are we going to start pulling tax returns now on people? Wow. Okay, forgive me. I'm digressing.
Thank you, Commissioners. Appreciate it.
Mr. President, I just have to close that, as Mr. Hackman said, whatever the case may be, the Board of Commissioners do not have direct oversight over the expenditures of Lakeland Community College. The only vote that we have is in choosing good trustees. And I've had the opportunity so far to vote 3 times, and I'm proud of each of those votes, to appoint Janet Micah, former Councilwoman Fiscal Hawk, Ryan Callender, who has served with great distinction as president, and now my former student Matt Hebebrand. And I say with confidence that the individuals I've appointed are going to be watching much more carefully and will ensure that the taxpayer monies are spent as we would spend our own. So I don't have the authority myself to correct any issues there may be, but I know that Matt will take care of it.
Yeah, again, as the average citizens out there, once we find out something, where do we go? So we're coming to the commissioners as average citizens, saying that if we have this issue, we would really, like some guidance, like some help, because we're just the taxpayers out here. We're funding the whole thing, but at times we feel like we have absolutely no recourse. No one is looking out for us. I'll end with that. Thank you.
So don't hold on. You've got a point number 5 on page 2. Dr. Beveridge. I'm going to add Dr. Beveridge. You just have Morris Beveridge. So
I beg your pardon.
We're talking about Dr. Beveridge. We wouldn't want to make any confusions of other beverages out there.
I beg your pardon. Yeah, this is Morris Beveridge the second, not Morris Beveridge the third.
Will always be at the top of the benefit listing. So this is one of those things of if somebody gets it, this is what you're being told.
Yes.
Okay. I'm okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, yes, sir, please.
Still in public session.
Yes, sir. Sorry, you were literally behind the podium, and all I saw were fingertips over top of it.
Dale Fellows, 2812 Fowler Drive, Willoughby Hills. Glad to be here and to honor my great friend, Ron Young. My wife Nancy sends her blessings to you, and congratulations on your retirement. And I know it's not a retirement because you're moving on to doing other life services and much higher callings. So, but on behalf of the residents of Lake County, all the years that you served so admirably throughout the last few decades has been great, and we certainly appreciate all that you do and your heartfelt mission to lower taxes and make government smaller, and et cetera, et cetera. It has been your life's work, and you continue it, and I know you have a much higher calling, so thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mayor Morley, Mayor Regovich.
Cutting in front of me all the time.
You know. Well, Mayor Regovich is moving on up.
You should have listened to what Commissioner Cronin had.
He's a lot older, he's slower. Mayor Rich Regovich, City of Wilwick. Commissioner Young, Ron, thank you for your body of work and the things you've done in public sector, and thank you for all you've done with Lake County, and personally, I had the opportunity to see you speak at church, and I see your calling. It moved me, and I truly know that you're on the right path. So I value our time together, and I'm just so happy I've got to know your family for a long time, and you're an inspiration to all of us. So thank you.
Thank you. So now the old, slow guy is making his way up here.
I'm going to say it again.
Or is this the part where you sashay up to the
He's
podium?
10 years younger than me. Does it look like it?
Oh!
Is there a perfectly standing?
All those fun things you say off mic. Oh my zing.
Dennis Morley, Mayor of the City of Eastlake. Ron, for all your service between the state and the county, and from some of the things we've got to work on, I appreciate what you've done. What you did say in your comments, I would hope that people watch this, and people in positions of politics and elected people go by what you just said, because I'm a very big proponent of about being here for our people, not for our careers, not for the betterment of moving themselves. I mean, I take that, what you said, very personally, and I applaud you for saying it out loud. But again, as Rich said, and obviously that we all have good relationships, everyone in this room, I applaud you for everything you've done throughout the years, and I wish you the best with your family on your retirement, and hope to see you around. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Okay, is there any other public comment to come before this board? Oh, yes, ma'am.
Just one.
Yes, ma'am.
I would just like to say thank you, Ron, and I love you very much, and I am absolutely sure that God is very happy today. Thank you for your service.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, any other takers? Seeing none? All right, I will entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Plechnik.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes, thank you. This meeting stands adjourned. Thank you for joining us today.